guys, welcome back to my channel. So today it will be actually another lesson, and this lesson happened the very next day following the previous video that we had. So I'm really happy because we get to work twice in the same week. I usually only have one lesson a week, but this time I had two, and it was not back to back, but this was the very next day. So even though Hazel was really on the forehand on the first day, it seemed like she adjusted really well actually for this lesson, and I'm thinking you guys are up for something pretty nice today as we're working again and progressing in our canter work. Once again, the aim of this canter work is to get Hazel to balance herself a little bit more properly, and then use her back end a little bit more when cantering, which will actually lead to a proper balance, because usually most of the horse is, you know, falling on the forehand or on the front legs, and so you really want to have a good motion in the front to back to ensure that, you know, you get a lot of control on the speed of that canter and exactly how it looks like as well. So you can slow it down as much as you want, you can extend it. So that's just the first part of that. So you just have to make sure you have a good standard balanced canter before you can do any of that. So because the previous lesson we didn't have good bend, I'm really making sure that in this warm-up here, I'm doing my best to get some good bending action going on. So we're just going here in circle. We're gonna do slowly a little spiral inward and try to get this nice bend on both sides. That will definitely help eventually, because we are trying to just canter in a nice 20-meter circle if we can. So all of that will really help, but I can assure you that literally this lesson I had way more control over the horse, and she was a lot better when it comes to bend and shoulder position, which made it really easy for me to actually be able to teach her anything, especially the canter work. So stay tuned, because it's going to be pretty amazing, I'm telling you. Map is officially over and we're entering the portion of our actual lesson. So we're just gonna start again slowly. We will build our trot and make sure we have a nice consistent trot, make sure we have a proper bend, and then we'll be able to ask for the canter and just start working from there. For those of you that haven't noticed as well, I switched my saddle from my jumping saddle into my dressage saddle, because I'm confident I'm gonna get a little bit more control and a better position for myself, so that will avoid for me to just tip forward and encourage her to lean on her forehand. So we're gonna just try this saddle here and see how it goes, and I apologize for horses passing by, but eventually she will go away in the other side of the arena and we'll be able to do our work. So here, first canter of the evening, and it wasn't too bad. It was a little bit rushed, but overall it wasn't the worst canter I've ever seen. So we've got something to work on tonight, but it doesn't seem like it's gonna be too bad. So my coach noticed that I was doing a posting trot. She asked me to just try to just ease into the canter from a sitting trot and see how that leads, because you obviously have to be seated when you're cantering, and just to see if it makes a difference and if it makes it a little easier, because it's sometimes a little awkward. You gotta sit, you gotta ask it, just, you know, to put everything in perspective. So slowly I'm just gonna start sitting, and then when I'm ready I'm gonna ask for the canter and see what happened here. So here, just because Hazel, instead of picking up the canter, she went speeding, speed walking a little bit, we're just gonna stop her, ask her to back up, and then try again. Here, second canter, doing pretty good. She didn't bolt that much forward this time, just because I was already seated, so it really helped for me to get a good hold of these reins, because my coach really suggests that I pull them as far as I can, all the way up to my hip, to get a really good balance. And as you can see, we're starting to figure it out, and that's exactly where she broke, because it is a lot of pressure for the horse then when they're not used to use their back legs like that. It's a lot of pressure, and then the more pressure you put on the back of their legs, the more it's like a bit of a spring action or spring motion. It just wants to spring forward, right? Push forward. So you really have to just teach the horse to take in that pressure and work with it. Just kind of smooth the edges a little bit, right? So the horse is gonna have to eventually learn to take in the pressure on the back legs and use these back legs to drive that canter forward. So because the day before she was so pushy on the reins and so on the forehand, I'm not even allowing her to be the slightest pushy and just leaning forward. So every time she's going to lean forward, she's going to back up, and that's just going to be the correction that she gets, and that will help us a lot. So as you can see here, her head position is actually quite better than it was the day before. So she's not cranking her neck all the way down to her chest, and her shoulders are actually following the motion of the circle. So we're just backing her up her hair here, because she also bolts forward every time we ask her to get into the canter. So she just like bolts and then flattens out, and then bolts and flattens out. So we're just asking her to just go smoothly in and out. So we're just trying to work those little kinks here and there, but as you can see, there's a huge improvement from the day before. So here going ahead again, and as you can see, it's starting to smoothen out a lot. Her head position is a little bit more consistent, and you can see a little bit more shift on her backhand. So here she gave me a good run afterwards. Like I said, it's always like a spring action motion. So I wasn't really scared or anything in those cases. You know, it happens. You just have to really make sure you're with your horse and you can direct them in the right direction if ever they are to bolt forward. So make sure you always have, you know, soft hands, but also, you know, able to direct them in the right way, and stop them as well. So good, you know, stop and back up in that case. And it wasn't from spooking, it was just from loading that weight on her back end. So sometimes that's what happened. They're like so stuck in a frame, and then they break free of it, and their back goes literally really flat, and you start speeding forward. So you just have to kind of stop that and grab that as soon as you can, collect it, and continue. So here a nice change in direction, and as you can see, it's so smooth. She picked up that canter like nobody's business, and she is soft all the way through. So now my job is just to make sure that I catch her on time when she's about to break, and just control that speed a little bit better. But it's all like kind of fine-tuning on this side. I just got to get a little bit better at just catching those little key elements. Obviously, she is a horse that is so sensitive that you want to catch things like on a very thin line. So there's just this sweet spot you've got to find, and it is a little hard sometimes, but once you find it, she's so consistent with it that it's worth it. So as you can see here, we were almost walking, and she picked up that canter again really nicely. Her head is in self carriage. I'm not controlling really the bend of the neck right now. She's controlling her own head, and she's using that back end very, very well. I only have to ask her for a little bit of pressure to just really make sure I can get her tipped on her bum, and get that hind end motion. So far so good. This side is actually turning out pretty nice. So here she had a lovely beginning of a canter. What we're trying to do is to be consistent. So my coach is gonna ask me to go to the trot and then go back to the canter and go back to the trot. And that just kind of helps to tune the horse in a little bit, because you're asking them for the right signal. That means canter now, and then trot now. And it works on the downwards and upward transition as well. And also you have control over the whole thing. So your horse doesn't have to break, fall apart or anything. You're the control from point A to point B, and that's exactly what we're looking for. You want that control just because it gives the horse a lot of confidence as well, because they're doing the right thing at the right time. They're not breaking, they're not falling apart, and you don't have to catch them. So it's an all win for everybody. So here we got a little spook here from the horse in the back there, that spook that God knows what, and Hazel reacted a little bit from it. So I just backed her up a little bit and continue on, because it wasn't a big deal. Actually didn't bolt forward to the point of bucking me off or anything. We just got to really work that focus and keep that focus, especially on the outdoor. Because Hazel is a smart horse, every single time she spooks, she's gonna spook exactly the same spot every single time. So this is how I handle a spook, or after a spook. So basically what I'm gonna do here, I just go around one time, just at a very calm pace at the walk, and then I'll pick up the trot like nothing really happened. In that specific corner here, I'm just gonna be a little bit more demanding, and try to really get her attention. So see, she just spooked exactly in the same spot for no reason. There's literally nothing there to spook at. She just did it because she spooked exactly there a moment ago. So I'm gonna go and continue here, push her forward, and we're gonna have to try hard to just get her focus together. So as you can see here, she raised her head, so I'm giving her a quick back up and continuing on with a working trot. And what I'm gonna do as well is change the angle that we're coming at that same corner. So there I just went in a straight line. She didn't have any reaction, and what I'm gonna do here is go in a larger circle so she can figure out there's actually nothing to fear in that corner, and we can just continue on with our journey here for the lesson. So now that Hazel is really good and back to business, we can definitely focus on our canter work as well. So we're just working a little harder on this side than on the other, because it's not as natural to her. So as you can see here, she gets a very strong start at every single time on that end. But today her shoulders are actually with me, which is beautiful, because I don't have to fight with her shoulders being, in diagonal from where we're going. So it's a very awkward move when the horse's hind end is straight, but then the shoulders are slanted in a diagonal, and it just blocks your way. You just don't have any motion in that way, right? So you have to have either a half circle from the whole body of the horse, which allows you to bend properly, or you just go in a straight line and you have shoulder and hip in one line, right? But it doesn't work when it's like straight and diagonal. It just cuts the whole communication and you just can't do anything with it. So here, as you can see, she still wants to lean a lot forward, so I have to really hold her back a lot, but it's a little bit better than it was the day before for sure. So I want you guys to pay attention to that bend I'm talking about. So if you look at her shoulders and her butt, you'll notice that between those 2 points, she's definitely incurved towards the inside. So that's exactly what we're looking for. And as you can see, it really helps when the horse bends properly. And then this time, I don't really have as much as an issue to control the circle that we want to make, just because I have the proper bend. So I just have to control the head a little bit and then the speed a lot more, but other than that, at least I have 2 components to manage, and I don't have to play with those shoulders as well. So just giving her a nice relaxation time here, just so she can catch her breath. We're definitely being a little bit more demanding on her than we normally are, and that's for the better because she is entering a different level now. So we really need to work that fitness and that focus as well, so we can accomplish this new level there. So that's why I'm really happy that we get to progress so quickly. The horse has been officially on training for almost 7 to 8 months, out of which she's been off for 2. So officially she's been worked in an actual lesson program for 6 months, and she's definitely like just changed like 300%, if it's not even 500%. It's a total different horse. Just because she learns so quickly, she's adapting, she's working really hard, and we were able to do so many different things. We got a good trot, now we got a canter on a proper lead if we ask for it. We are not working on this elevation. We can do shoulder in, shoulder out, backing up. We can ride inside, outside. There's just so much stuff that we can do now. We're also started her on jumps as well, and she's doing really well at jumping. So she is definitely becoming, a little bit more put together as a horse in those like 8 months, if you will. Consistency is really the key when you're training a horse, and this girl, she learns so fast. Now she is also able to carry other riders than myself, so that's really a nice improvement as well. Not that I don't love her, but I can't go to the barn every day, so I have some nice people helping me with her just to ride her and keep her energy level and her head in the game. So I'm really thankful for that. I hope that you guys enjoyed the journey, if ever you've been with us for a little bit. If you're new, well, welcome to the channel, and I hope that you guys enjoyed this ride, and I wish you a really good week, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye for now.